Bucharest, London, Harare and on to Blantyre in the south of Malawi, in Africa. Malawi was experiencing a terrible drought, now in its third year. I knew Malawians to be resilient and deeply spirited people. Yet I wondered what had become of my friend Charles Chibwana, or the Namacheti Six Boys Band, with their junk instruments and heart-wrenching four-part vocal harmonies. Or Kambo Makolekole and his Valimba virtuosos. These men were farmers in what was now nothing but a dust bowl. Like Bolivia and Juan, Romania and Cornell, these characters had lived in my mind since that first visit 7 years previously, and were now part of a story to be continued. Eager to see what had become of them all, I had one night's rest, awoke early, and tackled the surprise-ridden Blantyre transport system, and plodded towards Chikwawa district.
I want to go to Chikwawa tomorrow. It's from here?
Yeah.
That's the way it is. African bus trial. So that's what happens. You just get on a bus, it stops in the middle of nowhere, makes you get off, and then you got to catch another bus, and you stand up like a sardine for hours and hours. It's about 42 degrees outside. It's about 56 degrees in here. There must be about 70 people in this bus. I wrote that to him.
In my original plans, Chikwawa had been a 3-day visit to rekindle old friendships. Yet I was so moved by the effects of the drought and the wonderful musicians who were barely surviving as farmers that I decided to change tack. Over the coming months I would make 5 visits to Chikwawa to collaborate with the local musicians. An hour bicycle ride to their village in searing temperatures seemed a small effort when compared to their everyday toil. With the support of my friends back home, I would also organise 2 concerts to raise money to buy rice and maize meal, their staples. The sight of malnourished children is something I just couldn't ignore. Under the shade of a huge tree, often in mind-numbing heat, we would play out our ideas. The local children would gather, 5, 10, then 20 children all laughing and dancing. Often their ambient noise was greater than our music. One day the children were so noisy that I put down my instrument and took them in a huge circle, and we danced. Together with Kamba and his virtuosic Valimba musicians, we composed the Children's Dance. With the money raised from the concerts and generous donations from friends back in Australia, we bought enough rice and maize meal to last 6 months. A late donation allowed me to buy a costume for the Lilimba group and organise a regular paid performance for them during the year. They sent heart-wrenching messages of thanks to all those generous friends who had helped. Seven years before, I'd ventured further inland from Chikwawa, looking for panpipe groups. They were third-hand leads, which resulted in nothing but sad stories. I would try again. Together with Charles, I boarded a minibus and travelled into the remote lands which joined the border with Mozambique. Along the way, and in stark contrast to the parched brown landscape, we encountered the richness of African life, sharing with us their traditional music and dance. Kilometres passed and hours slipped by. A day turned into 2. Tyres failed, engines boiled. We stopped to assist others along the way. Eventually we reached a point where the road simply ended. A bridge washed away by floods many years previously.
It's impossible to cross.
Charles borrowed bicycles and we started pedalling. Day here today, and we've come about 50 kilometres in a bus, and then we took bikes for this last 4 or 5 kilometres. We're told that they're in another village up this way somewhere. Eventually the bicycle-friendly tracks finish, so we walked. Hours upon hours in 45-degree heat. Each village would direct us further and further into the hills until we eventually came to a large village where they confirmed the existence of the Nyanga or Mozambican panpipe tradition. It was the spirit and generosity of these people which inspired the composition Life is Life.
Watu Malawi mpaka kushembe moyo watu walero pina 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 mwendo mwamba pina 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 tivine mpaka kushembe.
Food and water were scarce, and after 2 days of astonishing experiences, we started our return journey. The temperatures soared towards 50 degrees. 5 o'clock last night, and I finally lay in the bed, and now I drank 8 litres of water. There's this song, a fantastic song, one of my favourites by Simon Neild, and Simon sent me the CD to Romania. And the line goes, "Ooh, we're mostly water," and that line was just going round and round in my head last night.
Life is for the living, life is for the living, life
There were many poignant moments in that week. As we left the outskirts of Phineas village, a lady with 2 malnourished children at her side came towards us, handing us a bunch of bananas for our long journey home, our safekeeping. As I looked into her eyes, my heart sank to a lowly depth, yet my spirit soared with inspiration.
Right now, Lucia. Right.
These guys, until a week ago, had never played music outside of their village. And so the idea of going into this bigger town and suddenly ending up in a box with headphones on and a man with a computer is just going to be pretty overwhelming for them. The Namachetti Six Boys Band were now known as the Lusalao Boys, and with their instruments made of junk we came together to create. The process of music making was shrouded in laughter and dance, and so we chose one piece to record called the Lusalao Joys.
Find that joy, special place deep inside sweetest days. When you're alone, deep in trouble, look again for that bubble. Loose our boys lead the way, singing songs, move and sway, and they know it's the way, 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 and they know it's the way.
The fundraising concert was a book of anecdotes. The women's dance group who arrived the following morning, 10 hours after the concert had finished. And knowing that these elderly people would carry the 20-kilogram sacks of rice on their heads for hours in temperatures way above 40 degrees. And the day when the musician carried the 50-kilogram valimba on his head for 4 kilometres, just so that he could save the $2 I'd given him for the truck fare.
And it is the first time for such thing to be happening to us.
Exhausted and exhilarated. A deep sadness with each goodbye.
Joyous and profound thanks to all of you friends in Australia. Thank you to Guy Hickey, Gary Beddison, June Davey, Lucinda, Simon Neild, Christina McGuinness, Terry Devereaux, Russell Wilson, Matthew Keelan, Alan Tyrion, Dave Hyams, Emiliano and Sally Richards, Kirsty Harrigan, Peter Russell, Suban Hartree, Pam Williams, Mark and Vivian Hennessy Smith, Jeff and Kay, Ian and Tessa Ponder, Pam Gunn, Uli Keck, Eugene McGrath, Keith Kirkwood, Wendy Corrick, Anne Young, Francis Glasspool, Palinki Blair, Gemma Pepper, Pam Massey, Chris Brocklebank, John Pepper, Luke Henry Pigman.
The return bus ride back to Blantyre left me burdened with questions as to the value of art and music, my whole project. As if always expecting the unexpected, I was caught in the middle of a riot. But even that half hour of madness could not distract me from the questions. Making music when enveloped by poverty and heartbreaking stories surrounding the AIDS pandemic. 2 weeks later I would depart from Malawi.
The way you start a project is the way you finish it. You walk out of the door and you put on your backpack and you start going to some country like Malawi. And you start working, you start finding all these wonderful Malawian musicians. And that's how easy it is. And here it's been fantastic. I've met some fantastic musicians. And we've just had a great time making all that wonderful new music.
The Malawian musicians welcomed me into their worlds. It was one of openness, bursting with the joy of exploration and improvisation. The music flowed assiduously and 9 new pieces exploded out onto our plates. With visa deadlines approaching, we focused on recording 5 songs. Leaving unfinished ideas and wonderful new friends was never going to be easy. Yet I had started making inquiries towards my next destination.